Welcome PSY 364 students. This is my week 9 commentary as we are looking at chapter 11 in Kilmartin and Smiley and anticipating the last third of our semester together. Last week we looked at the chapter on breadwinning and various dynamics of men as providers, both in the context of the workplace and unemployment. This week we're looking at the first of 3 chapters having to do with men, relationships, and sexuality. So as we open our investigation of this area, we'll be looking at normative issues of sexuality and trying to capture the meaning of sexuality for men and boys. There are no shortage of subtopics in this area. In the limited time that we have, we obviously can't cover them all. So that if we look at this area and try to pick out the most useful topics, I think we will be making the best use of our time. First, let me note that Kilmartin in these 3 chapters begins with an exploration of normative male sexuality and then moves next week to a chapter on violence, and in the week that follows a chapter on relationships and relational aspects of men. I think that sequence is significant, and I would ask us to at least take it into account as we try to derive some meaning from this 3-chapter review. The fundamental question that we'll begin with is, do we inevitably have to see male sexuality as a problem? And I would leave it to our discussion board and your own areas of interest to take a position on that, but I think having a good grounding of normative sexuality is a reasonable place to start. Secondly, with respect to sexual orientation as a part of male sexuality, that's a small part of this chapter. I think that orientation means in relationship to others, and clearly in the sexual lives of men and boys, sexuality takes place in relationships, but also in the private lives of men and boys and in relationships to objects. So we will be looking at such things as pornography, such things as fetishes, and such things as asexuality, which we initially identified early in the semester and are now coming back to. The developmental aspects of sexuality, which is to say age-related, are of course there, and we'll touch upon those briefly in our readings. I would encourage you to also take the time to look at our supplemental videos for this week, and then to hopefully come to a conclusion that we can acknowledge sexuality as a potential area of problems for men and others in relationship, but that there's more to male sexuality than that. Let's see, those are the major sort of thematic comments I'd like to make at this point. There's much that I was thinking about in this area that I could not or did not find resources to put in our weekly folder, so by all means I look forward to your contributions as we learn how to ask better questions and better understand the lived experience of sexuality in men and boys. So I think that's probably enough for now. I will post trigger questions to further initiate conversations on the discussion board. And once again, my plea, some of you have, but about half of you haven't yet posted your plans for the oral presentation assignment at the end of the semester. That's to say your plans for workshop 3. So we have an oral assignment that will be graded there. It's a required workshop, but if you cannot make it, then it's on your shoulders and those of your colleagues to organize an off-schedule peer group. And I'm willing and able to support that only if students share the burden of organizing them. So please post your plans now so that others can see where you're likely to be, which is to say on campus, on the phone bridge, or in an off-schedule peer group as we draw close to our date of workshop 3. Okay, I think that's enough for now. Thank you for your attention.